Board of Transportation is proposing building a third Cape Bridge to be financed entirely by private investment. Your thoughts?
I think it's a win-win.
I go to the Cape every weekend usually, so a third bridge
Sounds good.
Yeah, sounds good.
Politics is a funny game, and there's a lot of money flying around. Friends of those people in power end up with these big construction jobs, and they're happy, and their friends are happy, and the public pays for it.
It depends a lot on the ability to find somebody who wants to finance it and all the issues associated with constructing it.
It would be better in private hands than having the Mass Turnpike Authority continue forever collecting tolls.
It depends on if there are any stipulations behind like the private investment, but if not, I figure why not?
There you go. There's the sound of the Cape right there. So let's get right to it. Welcome to the OTR political analyst this morning. Democrat Marianne Marsh is with us, and Republican Pat Griffin is with us. You know, guys, the quickest trip I've ever had over the bridge was on my bike during the Pan Mass Challenge. And I'm not lying to you. Right. Would you pay? I don't know. You pick a number: $3, $5, $6. Would you pay $6 to go across? Oh,
right. She's got it cash. She's got a profit. There you go. She's ready. How about you? I would. I told Marianne, she lives there and goes regularly. My parents lived there for years. Planning the trip was like going to China.
Right.
It was just trying to figure out, and you can't predict it anymore. Right?
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
So what's the advantage, or I should say the disadvantage of, or the danger, I should say, of the private sector actually building infrastructure?
Well, infrastructure is a public benefit, and it's what made this country great, and the public should do it, and it should be done well and run well. And that hasn't been the case, but it's a bigger risk, frankly, to do it privately. Infrastructure has been underfunded at every level of government, and it was what made us great and now makes us a third world country. So it should be a public project.
So should the private sector get a shot at it?
They should. I think they should. But Marianne is right about the fact that infrastructure investment has been delayed and put off for far too long, which means when it's time to fix it, public or private monies, it's deferred maintenance. It's just like your house. It's going to cost a lot more. So managing and minding infrastructure is very important. We've got a lot of catching up to do.
Let's talk about the Boston Public Schools. So Dr. Chang was with us this morning. He doesn't actually technically take the job for another month, but he's here and he's running on the ground already. We put the obstacles right in front. There's difficulty at the poverty level. There's difficulty with English as a second language and the communication and extension of that at home. The graduation rates are low. There was a very noted crime event in the city. What is his largest obstacle?
Implementing the kind of change and reform that's necessary to make the schools what they need to be in Boston. That has been the challenge for every mayor that has preceded Marty Walsh and every superintendent that has preceded Dr. Chang. And therein lies the problem. So I wish him the best, just like I've wished every other mayor and every other superintendent the best. I hope he's successful, but it is a huge lift.
Big cities with melting pots of cultures can have high graduation rates and can survive. In New York and LA, the numbers are very high. They're not high here. Yeah,
we have, speaking of deferred maintenance, our education system in the city of Boston is a real challenge. What I like about Dr. Chang is, and again, don't know him well, but when you read his background, he's reform-minded. I think he's someone who comes from an interesting background, Teach for America. He ran and founded a charter school in California. I think that reformers come here with the best intentions of reform. The system really needs reforming, though, and it's going to be yeoman's work to try and get it done.
Number one project for him is to get along with the unions and try to sit down and talk to the unions, you think?
That's part of it, but Bill Bratton had the best line in New York last week, which is, don't complain to me about my police officers when you're not taking care of your kids. Parents are the first ones who have to be involved here, first and foremost, and schools should be open 12 months of the year, 7 days a week, because they have everything a kid needs.
Let's switch the conversation over to the Boston Public Library. It's a growing scandal. Mayor Walsh is now publicly invested in it. He's actually met with them publicly and said that he's not quite ready yet to make a leadership change, at least not as of this moment. Is new leadership absolutely required at this point, Pat?
Well, not cataloging and sort of misplacing $650,000 worth of artwork is a serious problem. When the heist took place at the Gardner Museum years ago, people were fired because of that. I don't know what will happen in this case. These are public employees. I think the mayor's done a good job to get involved in this. He hasn't made a comment as to exactly what he's going to do, but I think Marty Walsh is a reform-minded guy, and he's going to have to do something.
Does he need to cut his losses, Marianne?
She's had great accomplishments here, but this is a major mistake, and her management has to be called into question. I would also say the Boston Public Library Board's management and oversight should be called into question. It is the most prestigious appointment that a mayor has, and they need to be called into question, too, about their oversight.
But one thing, just the other thing is the audit and the investigation are still taking place. Right. We don't know what else is missing, or if there's more to come. So I agree with Marianne. I do think, though, this bodes very, very poorly for her future.
Pardon me for clearing my throat. I have allergies that are just killing me. About 3,000 miles away in Lucerne, with the International Olympic Committee, we learned that Boston's 2024 original plan has taxpayers paying for 2/3 of the cost of an Olympic stadium if it comes to Boston. Mayor Walsh says that's not happening.
I've made it perfectly clear that it will not be the case here in the city of Boston. I won't be using bonds to be paying for stadiums.
Marianne, how tone-deaf are the backers of Olympics 2024?
Well, when you're in Lucerne on the same day FIFA gets busted, that's not a good omen.
Timing
okay?
is good, right.
But Marty Walsh also said that he doesn't think the T can get fixed now without the Olympics. So there's a lot of crazy messaging going on here, none of it good. No one's able to walk and chew gum at the same time, and that's really bad for
Crazy
the Olympics
is a key word in there, huh?
Do you think you're going to see a lot of changes in this June 30th second proposal that they're going to be putting out?
Well, you know that I've defended the Olympics in Boston again and again on this program. I will tell you now that the credibility gap is such that unless or until that plan is put forward, there's going to continue to be strong resistance to this thing. The International Olympic Committee smells it. There are real challenges here. I don't know that they can do it.
It's got to be the best plan ever, though. And I'm not sure it's going to be.
We continue on the record. Stay with us.